Hey guys, tonight we slip back into a time before the giants ever walked the earth. The air feels thick and damp, heavier than the one you breathe today, carrying the smell of mud, rotting plants, and stagnant pools. You crouch in a swamp where ferns grow taller than houses. Dragonflies with wings like dinner plates buzz lazily in the air, and strange, croaking sounds echo through misty forests. You wouldn't survive here, not for a moment. The air is too rich with carbon dioxide, the ground too treacherous with lurking predators, and the insects far too eager to make a meal of you. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I'd love for you to comment your location and the local time where you're listening right now, because somewhere, someone might be drifting into sleep under their own stormy sky. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You open your eyes wider, letting the world of 300 million years ago settle around you. The Carboniferous and Permian periods stretch before you. Ages when amphibians sprawled across riverbanks and reptiles first tested their legs on land. This is not yet the world of dinosaurs. Here, the rulers are amphibians the size of crocodiles, lungfish that gulp air at the surface, and insects so huge they would make you duck if they passed overhead. The earth feels raw, unfinished, as though evolution is still sketching outlines, erasing and sketching again. Your footsteps press into soft mud, and you notice ripples in the water nearby. Something moves beneath the surface, a creature like a salamander, but longer than your body, its head wide, its teeth glistening. This is an early temnospondyle, one of the dominant amphibians of the Carboniferous swamps. It blinks at you with pale eyes, then slips away with barely a ripple. You exhale in relief, though you know, as a ghost here, it cannot harm you. The mainstream fact emerges. Before dinosaurs, amphibians dominated Earth's waterways and wetlands, some reaching lengths of 20 feet. They were the first vertebrates to explore life on land, though they remained tied to water to breed and thrive. Their reign laid the foundation for reptiles to follow. You wander deeper into the swamp. Towering trees loom overhead, not oaks or pines, but strange, ancient species like lycophytes and horsetails, their trunks ridged, their crowns spraying out fronds. Their roots knit together to form peat bogs, later to become coal seams that still burn in your world today. You inhale the damp scent of resin, the buzz of insects thrumming in the heavy air. This is a greenhouse world, humid and lush, where plant life builds the stage for animal innovation. A quirky detail tickles your thoughts. In these forests, dragonflies with wingspans of over 2 feet dart among the trees. They hunt other insects with precision, their huge eyes glinting in the murk. Scientists believe their size was possible because of higher oxygen levels in the air, up to 35% compared to today's 21%. Imagine walking outside and every breath feeling richer, but every spark of flame also burning hotter. Even fire behaved differently here, fierce and difficult to extinguish, but uncertainty hums quietly in the shadows. Paleontologists debate exactly how and why reptiles began to rise during this time. Was it the changing climate, with drier lands favoring creatures who could lay eggs on land instead of in water? Was it the decline of giant amphibians opening niches for newcomers? Or was it a gradual coevolution, amphibians shrinking back as reptiles gained strength? The fossils show transitions, but not motives. You walk in that ambiguity, hearing both possibilities echo in the rustling ferns. You kneel beside a patch of sandy soil, and there it is. An amniote egg, leathery, buried for protection. Unlike amphibians, these reptiles do not need to return to water to breed. Their eggs carry their own miniature aquatic environment inside, safe and sealed. This innovation is the quiet revolution of the era. With it, reptiles can spread inland, colonize deserts, climb higher, explore farther. They are no longer bound to rivers and swamps. You realize you are witnessing the first spark of the dynasty that will, millions of years later, give rise to dinosaurs. You walk further, and the landscape shifts subtly. The Permian period dawns, the swamps thinning, the air growing drier. Vast deserts open, dunes rolling under a blazing sun. Amphibians struggle here, tied too tightly to water. But reptiles thrive. Their scaly skin holds in moisture, their eggs endure heat, their bodies carry them farther from rivers. You see them basking on rocks, long tails twitching, jaws snapping at insects. Some are small, no bigger than lizards. Others swell larger, four-legged and strong, their teeth sharp, their eyes alert. Mainstream fact again. The Permian saw the rise of synapsids, mammal-like reptiles that would one day give birth to mammals themselves. Dimetrodon, with its towering sail, prowled this world 40 million years before the first dinosaurs. Despite often being mistaken for one, it was not a dinosaur at all. Its sail may have been used for regulating body temperature or for display, though scholars still argue. You spot one basking nearby, sail glowing in the evening sun, and you wonder whether it is warming itself or simply showing off. Quirky evidence emerges again. Some synapsids may have had whiskers or patches of hair, precursors to fur, long before mammals fully evolved. Imagine a reptile with scales along its body, but soft fuzz along its snout. You chuckle. It's a far cry from the sleek predators of later ages. But it's a start. But then, uncertainty again, darker this time. At the end of the Permian, the Earth suffers its greatest mass extinction, wiping out over 90% of species. The causes are still debated. Massive volcanic eruptions in Siberia, shifts in ocean chemistry, runaway greenhouse warming, perhaps all of them together. You stand at the edge of this abyss, watching forests die. Rivers turn stagnant, skies darken with ash. Amphibians collapse, many reptiles vanish. It feels like the world itself is suffocating. And yet, amid devastation, a few lineages endure. Tiny reptiles scurry into cracks, eggs hidden, lungs strong. They survive the silence, carrying forward the blueprint for something new. Out of this crucible, dinosaurs will one day rise. Not immediately, but inevitably, their roots planted in the resilience of these small survivors. You close your eyes, hearing the faint crackle of fire, the hiss of ash settling, the silence of extinction. But beneath it, you sense a heartbeat. Fragile, steady, stubborn. The Earth is not done. It is only resetting the stage. And when the curtain rises again, the first true dinosaurs will step into the light. The Permian pioneers step into view as you let the silence of the great dying fade. Imagine a stage nearly swept clean, oceans emptied of most of their life, forests thinned to blackened skeletons, skies veiled with the haze of eruptions. More than 9 out of 10 species vanished. Yet on the edges of this devastation, a handful of creatures persisted. You walk among them now, feeling the weight of their fragility and the strangeness of their survival. These are the pioneers who would shape everything that follows. The landscape is harsher than the swampy Carboniferous world you left behind. The Permian is dry, its rivers narrower, its desert stretching wider, dunes rolling endlessly beneath a blazing sun. Where forests once towered, scrubby plants cling to sandy soil, their roots shallow but stubborn. The earth itself seems thinner here, parched and weary, as though still reeling from catastrophe. You notice small reptiles scuttling across rocks. Their skin gleams in the sun, scales tight to conserve water. Unlike the great amphibians of earlier ages, they do not need to return to rivers to breed. Their amniotic eggs protect their young, sealed worlds of fluid and membrane, little life capsules hardened against drought. This adaptation, quiet, unremarkable to the eye, shapes the future more than any towering predator ever could. The mainstream fact glimmers here. The amniotic egg was one of the most important evolutionary innovations in history, allowing reptiles to colonize dry land permanently. You crouch, watching one of these early reptiles dig into the soil, hiding its eggs beneath sand. You imagine them hatching weeks later, miniature copies of their parents, ready to scuttle off into the desert. There is no tadpole stage, no helpless aquatic infancy. They are born survivors, already rehearsing for a world where water is scarce and survival demands independence from the very first breath. The quirky detail makes you smile. Some paleontologists believe certain early reptiles developed primitive social behavior, perhaps even guarding their nests. Fossil trackways suggest parents lingering near hatching sites, footprints overlapping those of juveniles. You picture it now. A mother reptile standing sentinel, tail lashing, eyes scanning for predators, while her hatchlings scurry about. It feels oddly familiar. An echo of parenting long before mammals made it commonplace. Still, uncertainty hums at the edges of this world. Which lineages exactly survived the Permian extinction, and how? Fossil records are patchy, fragmented, skewed by chance. Some argue it was pure luck, others point to resilience in physiology. Tough lungs, hardy metabolisms, eggs that endured heat and drought. Perhaps it was all of these, or perhaps none. You drift with that ambiguity, a soft cloud of not knowing settling around you like a blanket. You walk farther and see one of the strangest survivors, Lystrosaurus. Squat, tusked, and beak-mouthed, it looks more like a pig mixed with a reptile than any dinosaur to be. Yet Lystrosaurus thrived when others fell. Spreading across continents from Asia to Antarctica, fossils show they made up as much as 90% of some ecosystems, a world almost entirely filled with one creature. You imagine herds of them trudging across dusty plains, snouts rooting in dry soil for roots and tubers, their calls snorting and low. The mainstream fact holds. Lystrosaurus was one of the most successful survivors of the Permian extinction, dominating early Triassic ecosystems. Quirky whispers surround it too. Some scientists suggest Lystrosaurus may have hibernated, burrowing to escape extreme heat or cold. Their bones show growth patterns like tree rings, alternating fast and slow growth, hinting at seasonal pauses. You picture one now, nestled in a burrow, eyes closed, heart slowed, waiting for the season of ash and drought to pass. A strategy as humble as sleep may have saved them when so many titans fell. Yet scholars still argue. Why did Lystrosaurus thrive when nearly everything else collapsed? Was it their diet, broad and flexible? Their ability to burrow? Their rapid breeding? Or were they simply in the right places, sheltered by geography? No answer satisfies completely. Their success remains a mystery, one of those quiet puzzles the Earth keeps locked away. You rise and wander farther. Among the survivors are not just oddities, but the ancestors of greatness. Archosauriforms, small, lizard-like reptiles, creep through the underbrush. Their bodies are lean, their legs more upright, their lungs efficient. They are nothing yet compared to dinosaurs. But the blueprint is here. Stronger hearts, better breathing, faster strides. You watch one chase an insect across cracked ground, its tail stiff for balance, its head snapping forward. It seems insignificant now, but it carries the seeds of the dynasty to come. Nearby, another line experiments in its own way. Synapsids, the ancestors of mammals, scurry in burrows and hunt insects by night. They are warm-blooded in patches, perhaps furry in places, their metabolisms quick. Though they will not dominate again until long after dinosaurs are gone, they, too, endure. You smile at the symmetry. Two lineages, archosaurs and synapsids, setting out from the same crossroads, each destined to rule in its own age. Night falls on the Permian survivors. You lie back on cool sand, the sky black and wide. Stars blaze above, the same constellations dinosaurs will one day see, though they do not yet exist. The air is dry, but beneath the hush, you feel resilience humming. These creatures are not majestic. They are not giants. They are not yet the wonders of the Jurassic. But they survive, and that is enough. The mainstream fact rests heavy here. Life on Earth has always been fragile, and it has always endured. The Permian extinction was the closest life has come to total erasure. Yet out of it, reptiles, mammals, and eventually dinosaurs rose. The quirky detail lingers. In some fossil beds, entire burrow systems have been preserved, showing tunnels where families of small reptiles or synapsids once lived. You picture them curled together underground as ash fell above, tiny bodies pressed close, hearts slowing, waiting out the storm. And the uncertainty, the lullaby of this journey, remains. Did survival depend on cleverness, physiology, or pure chance? You do not know. Perhaps no one ever will. But you feel the truth in your chest. Survival is never guaranteed. And yet, somehow, it happens. You close your eyes, hearing the soft rustle of Lystrosaurus herds, the quiet chirp of insects, the distant scratch of a small archosaur creeping through the dark. These are the pioneers, strange and stubborn, carrying the torch through Earth's darkest night. Without them, there would be no giants to follow. Without them, the story would end here. But it doesn't. The stage is being rebuilt, patiently, for the arrival of dinosaurs. A world rebuilt stretches before you now. You wake as if from a long sleep, and the silence of extinction is slowly replaced by the stirrings of new life. The Triassic dawns around 250 million years ago, and though the Earth still wears scars from the Permian cataclysm, green begins to creep back across its surface. You inhale air that feels drier, thinner, with a hint of dust, but you also smell sap, fern, and fresh shoots forcing their way through cracked ground. The planet is fragile, yes, but it is not finished. It is reimagining itself. You stand on the edge of a broad plain. Once, this land was swamp and forest, but now it is open, arid, punctuated by scattered groves of conifers and cycads. The great lycophyte trees of the Carboniferous are gone. Instead, forests are dominated by tall pines with needle-like leaves, better suited to conserve water. Ferns and horsetails crowd the wetter valleys, their spores spreading like dust on the wind. You realize you are seeing the first chapters of a new kind of ecology, one in which dryness is no longer the enemy, but the default. The mainstream fact hums here. During the Triassic period, Earth's ecosystems recovered slowly but steadily from the Permian extinction. New plant groups rose, dominated by gymnosperms, seed plants like conifers, ginkgos, and cycads, which could thrive in harsher, drier climates. These plants would feed the first herds of dinosaurs and shape the landscapes they ruled. You wander through one such grove, the air sharp with pine resin. Insects buzz around your head. Beetles, primitive flies, and cicadas, buzzing louder than the forest itself. Dragonflies still patrol the skies, though smaller than their Carboniferous ancestors. Ants crawl over roots, already building miniature societies that will persist for millions of years. Their resilience feels familiar, a reminder that not all kingdoms require size or strength. The quirky detail makes you grin. Some early Triassic insects may have grown so abundant that they shaped plant evolution itself, pressuring species to adapt defenses like tougher leaves and bitter resins. You imagine a conifer learning, through generations, to thicken its bark, to survive constant chewing. In a way, the tiny jaws of insects were just as much architects of this world as the massive reptiles to come. But uncertainty follows, a shadow on the horizon. Scientists still debate exactly how long recovery took after the Permian extinction. Was it 10 million years of fragile ecosystems, always on the edge of collapse? Or did life bounce back faster in some regions, flourishing even as other places languished barren? Fossil beds tell different stories, some rich with plants and reptiles, others showing near emptiness. You feel this ambiguity in your bones. Recovery is never even, never smooth. It is patchwork, stitched together unevenly, fragile and incomplete. You cross into a low valley where rivers thread through cracked soil. On the banks, you see strange creatures basking. They are not dinosaurs, not yet, but archosaurs and other reptilian lineages experimenting with form. One has a body like a crocodile, but longer legs, striding upright instead of sprawling. Another moves on two legs, thin and quick, its tail stiff for balance. These are not the famous rulers yet, but they are rehearsals, trials in evolution's workshop. The mainstream fact arrives again. During the early Triassic, archosaurs began to rise in diversity. From them would come both crocodilians and dinosaurs, two lineages that would split and evolve along very different paths. You are watching the ancestors of two kingdoms, side by side, not yet distinguished. Quirky evidence flickers into view. Some early archosaurs had pigeon helmets, crests of bone on their skulls, whose function is still debated. Were they for display, intimidation, or to anchor strong jaw muscles? You picture one strutting along the riverbank, head held high, bone crest gleaming in the sun like a reptilian peacock. It makes you laugh softly, because vanity is apparently timeless, stretching even into deep time. But again, uncertainty softens the edges. Which archosaurs gave rise to the first true dinosaurs? Was it a single lineage in South America? Were there multiple, scattered origins? Fossil gaps keep the story half hidden. You linger in that haze, enjoying the unsolved nature of it, the way it keeps the imagination alive. You follow a trail of footprints pressed into drying mud. Some are small, three-toed, bird-like. Others are sprawling, splayed like lizards. Each step is a record of survival, of creatures walking into futures they cannot know. You kneel and trace one sharp three-toed print with your hand, realizing it might belong to something very close to the first true dinosaur. The stage is nearly set. Night comes gently in the Triassic world. The sky turns deep violet, the air cooler. Crickets, or their ancestors, sing from the grass. In the distance, you hear the guttural call of a predator. Low, throaty, unsettling, though you cannot see it. You lie down on warm rock, the stars overhead faint behind a haze of volcanic gas. The earth is still volatile, still prone to tremors and eruptions. But for now, life clings and spreads. The mainstream fact settles like a blanket. Mass extinctions are not just endings, but openings. The Triassic marks one of Earth's great rebuildings, when plants, insects, and reptiles reassembled themselves into entirely new worlds. The quirky image lingers. A pigeon helmet archosaur strutting proudly while others scavenge quietly nearby. Vanity in a wasteland. Life never forgets how to show off, and uncertainty rocks you to sleep. No one can say exactly how the first ecosystems knitted themselves back together, how long recovery truly took, or which creatures carried the torch forward. But as you breathe the cool Triassic air, You know that from this fragile rebuilding, the first dinosaurs will soon rise. The first upright steps echo faintly beneath your feet. You rise from the Triassic plain and notice how the animals moving around you seem different. Less sprawling, more purposeful. Their legs no longer stick out sideways like lizards dragging bellies through the dust. Instead, some stand taller, their limbs tucked under their bodies, carrying them forward with a surprising grace. This subtle shift, so small you might miss it, changes everything. The mainstream fact hums here. The early Triassic archosaurs split into two great branches, pseudosuchians, the ancestors of crocodiles, and avametatarsalia, the ancestors of dinosaurs. At first, the difference is hard to see. Both groups share long tails, sharp teeth, armored scales, but their ankles tell the truth. Crocodile-line archosaurs keep a twisted, outward-flexing joint, while dinosaur-line archosaurs develop straight, upright ankles perfect for endurance running. You kneel in the dust, tracing a fossilized trackway, and realize that these ankles, tiny hinges of bone, determine who will rule the Earth for the next 160 million years. You stand and follow one of these upright walkers. It is lean, no taller than your waist, its tail stiff, its head narrow. It darts through scrubby plants on two legs, pausing to snap at insects. Its ribs expand as it breathes, deeper and more efficient than the sprawling reptiles nearby. You hear its claws click softly on stone, like echoes of birdsong not yet invented. The quirky detail makes you chuckle. Paleontologists have found some early archosaurs with elongated necks and tiny heads, so strange that their purpose is still debated. Were they fishing specialists, reaching into rivers? Did they stretch for leaves, miniature prototypes of future sauropods? Or were their odd proportions simply experiments, evolutionary sketches abandoned when better designs came along? You imagine one now, wobbling slightly as it cranes its absurd neck toward a beetle, looking half comic and half graceful. Still, uncertainty clouds the path. Where exactly did the first true dinosaurs arise? Many scholars point to South America, where fossils like Herrerasaurus and Eoraptor emerge around 230 million years ago. Others argue that dinosaurs may have appeared in multiple regions at once, their ancestors spreading quietly before blooming into prominence. The fossil record is a broken story. Chapters missing, ink smudged. You drift in that mystery, lulled by the thought that history is never fully revealed. You climb a ridge and look down on a river valley. Herds of reptiles cluster at the banks, some sprawling low, others standing taller. You notice the advantage of the upright stance immediately. While the sprawlers tire quickly in the heat, bellies dragging, the upright walkers stride farther, hunt longer, run swifter. Evolution whispers its preference through endurance. Mainstream fact sharpens again. Upright posture allowed archosaurs to expand their lungs more fully, circulate oxygen more efficiently, and run faster without overheating. This endurance would make them dominant hunters and survivors in ways their rivals could never match. Night falls, and you hear strange calls echo across the valley. Chirps, croaks, guttural growls. You cannot tell which belong to the crocodile line ancestors and which to the dinosaur line. Perhaps even they do not yet know who will rise higher. You lie back on a slab of stone, still warm from the day's sun. Stars spreading above you, the ground humming faintly with distant volcanic tremors. The quirky image returns. An archosaur with a ridiculous bone crest, like a pigeon helmet, struts at the water's edge, completely unaware of its role as ancestor to one of Earth's greatest dynasties. Vanity again, written into deep time, and uncertainty rocks you softly to sleep. Did dinosaurs triumph because of their ankles, their lungs, their posture, or because their rivals stumbled at the wrong moment? No answer waits in the stones. Only the footsteps remain, pressed into mud. carrying the first upright walkers into futures they cannot see. Small but fierce, they appear almost shy at first, darting across the Triassic plains like shadows. You expect the first dinosaurs to arrive with grandeur, but instead, they creep in quietly. No larger than dogs, quick-footed, sharp-eyed, opportunistic. You squint across the scrubland and catch sight of one. A delicate, two-legged creature with long legs, a stiff tail, and hands tipped with claws. It pauses, head tilted, before sprinting after a lizard-like prey. Its jaws snap shut, and in that instant, you witness the dawn of dinosaurs. The mainstream fact anchors you. The earliest true dinosaurs appear around 230 million years ago, during the late Triassic. Fossils like Eoraptor, Herrerasaurus, and Staurikosaurus reveal small, agile predators, weighing little more than a house cat or medium-sized dog. They were not the giants you picture from museums, but lean survivors built for speed. Their reign began humbly, in ecosystems still dominated by other reptiles. You crouch low to watch an Eoraptor scavenge. It is no taller than your knee, its slender body built for quick bursts of motion. Its teeth are sharp but not enormous, suggesting it ate whatever it could, small vertebrates, insects, maybe even plants. Its adaptability is its true weapon, allowing it to survive where specialized rivals might falter. The quirky detail brightens your thoughts. Some paleontologists believe early dinosaurs may have hunted cooperatively, moving in small packs to take down prey larger than themselves. Imagine a trio of Herrerasaurus stalking across the dusk, their footsteps soft, their eyes glinting. They communicate not with words, but with subtle movements, like birds in a flock. A sudden burst, and they bring down a larger reptile, feasting together in the dim light. Whether this was reality or speculation, the image lingers, a strange blend of reptilian cunning and bird-like coordination. Still, uncertainty coils around them. Why did dinosaurs arise at all, and why here, in the late Triassic of South America? Some scholars argue it was sheer accident, a lucky combination of traits. Others suggest environmental stress, volcanoes, shifting climates, fragmented habitats, cleared the stage of competitors, giving these small newcomers room to expand. Fossil evidence points one way, then another. The story is incomplete, leaving you to drift between theories like a wanderer between campsites. You follow a trackway in drying mud. 3 toes press sharply into the clay, each step no larger than your palm. The trail zigzags toward a copse of cycads, where an insect swarm buzzes thick in the air. You imagine the hunter waiting, tail stiff, claws poised, before springing into the swarm, jaws snapping. These are not kings yet, but scrappy opportunists carving a place in a harsh world. Mainstream fact surfaces again. The earliest dinosaurs divided quickly into 3 main groups: theropods, the meat eaters; sauropodomorphs, the long-necked herbivores; and ornithischians, the beaked plant eaters. You are standing at the very beginning of this branching tree, watching as possibilities split like roots into soil. Night falls on the Triassic. You hear sharp cries echoing in the dark, higher pitched than a roar, more like the scream of a predatory bird. Small dinosaurs hunt beneath the stars, their silhouettes darting across moonlit plains. Their rivals, crocodile-line archosaurs, bask by rivers, armored and strong, but slower. The balance tilts slowly, quietly, like scales adjusting grain by grain. Quirky whispers drift in. Fossils of Coelophysis, one of the later Triassic theropods, show dozens of individuals preserved together. Some interpret this as evidence of social behavior, flocks moving as one. Others note bones of juveniles within adult skeletons and wonder if cannibalism lurked in their habits. Was it family care or ruthless hunger, scholars debate, and the truth dissolves into ash and time. You lie down among cycads, the air warm with the scent of resin, the ground still hot from the day's sun. Tiny dinosaurs skitter around you, their calls sharp, their eyes bright in the starlight. They are not impressive yet, not the titans of the Jurassic or the armored behemoths of the Cretaceous. But they are survivors. And in deep time, survival is the only crown that matters. The mainstream fact tucks you in. Dinosaurs began small, almost invisible in their first days, emerging as one lineage among many. They did not seize power immediately, but crept forward slowly, testing the edges of survival. The quirky image soothes you. A flock of Herrerasaurus darting together, moving like dancers in the night. A rehearsal for the dominance their descendants will one day command. And uncertainty lulls you. No one knows whether these first dinosaurs were destined to rise, or if they were simply lucky survivors in a world of shifting chance. But as you drift into sleep, you know this much. From these small, fierce shadows, giants will grow, and the earth itself will be remade in their footsteps. The competition unfolds before you like a tense chess match played across continents. You've seen the first small dinosaurs dart through ferns, snapping at insects and lizards. But now you see clearly. They are not alone. The Triassic world is crowded with rivals, and dinosaurs are just one of many lineages vying for survival. In this moment, they are not yet kings. They are apprentices, testing strategies against seasoned masters. You crouch near a riverbank as dusk paints the water red. Across the shallows, a massive reptile lowers its armored body into the mud. Its skull is wide, its teeth thick, its legs sprawled outward. This is no dinosaur. It is a phytosaur, a crocodile-like predator unrelated to modern crocodiles, but frighteningly similar in form. Its nostrils sit high on its skull, allowing it to lurk beneath the water's surface with only eyes and nose exposed. When a small dinosaur bends to drink, the surface explodes. The phytosaur lunges, jaws snapping, and drags its prey beneath the current. You inhale sharply, though you are only a ghost here. The mainstream fact grounds you. In the Triassic, crocodile-line archosaurs, phytosaurs, etosaurs, rauisuchians dominated ecosystems. Dinosaurs were minor players at first, overshadowed by these powerful competitors. It took tens of millions of years before dinosaurs truly rose to prominence. You walk upstream, the scent of resin and ash thick in the air. In a clearing, armored etosaurs shuffle through underbrush. Their bodies are squat, covered in heavy plates, their snouts shaped for rooting in soil. They look like a strange mix of armadillo and crocodile, and they move in herds, scraping at roots and tubers. You imagine them as living bulldozers, reshaping landscapes long before ankylosaurs or stegosaurs ever existed. The quirky detail makes you chuckle. Some etosaurs had tail armor so elaborate that paleontologists once mistook their fossils for ancient tree trunks. Imagine stumbling on one half buried in stone. You'd swear it was a petrified log until you saw the claws. But uncertainty lingers like twilight. Why did dinosaurs, initially so small and overshadowed, eventually outcompete these rivals? Some argue it was superior breathing systems, perhaps inherited from bird-like lungs, that gave dinosaurs endurance in warm Triassic climates. Others suggest it was sheer luck, the right adaptations at the right time when rivals faltered. Still others point to mass extinction at the end of the Triassic, when volcanic eruptions devastated ecosystems and cleared the stage. The truth is hazy, like smoke over a distant horizon. You rise to higher ground, looking out across Pangaea, the supercontinent stretching from pole to pole. Imagine it. One vast landmass, deserts in the interior, forests and rivers along the edges, volcanic ranges rifting through its heart. The world feels united, but it is also fragile. Tremors shake the ground, sulfur drifts in the air, and red lava glows faintly at night. The Earth itself is restless, reshaping the playing field. The mainstream fact presses in again. During the late Triassic, volcanic activity tied to the breakup of Pangaea created massive environmental stress. These eruptions released carbon dioxide and other gases, leading to climate swings, acid rain, and extinction events. Dinosaurs happened to weather these storms better than many of their rivals. You wander into another valley, where Rauisuchians, towering crocodile-like hunters, prowl. They are massive, some as large as future tyrannosaurs, walking on pillar-like legs. Their jaws snap with bone-crushing power, their footsteps thunder as they move. For now, these are the apex predators, and small dinosaurs must scatter at their approach. You feel the ground tremble as one passes, its scales glinting in the light, and you realize how precarious the dinosaur's position still is. The quirky whispers come again. Fossilized Rauisuchian footprints show that some may have walked on two legs at times, towering even higher. Imagine such a predator rearing upright, scanning the horizon with cold reptilian eyes. For a moment, it looks eerily like the giants dinosaurs will one day become. The line between them blurs. Still, uncertainty hushes the scene. Did dinosaurs truly outcompete these predators? Or were they merely lucky enough to survive when mass extinction struck? Fossils show Rauisuchians vanished suddenly at the end of the Triassic, while dinosaurs endured. Was it physiology, geography, or pure chance? No one knows. You breathe in the ambiguity, letting it soothe you like the rhythmic wash of waves. Night deepens, and the valley grows quiet. The phytosaurs sink beneath water, the etosaurs huddle in herds, the Rauisuchians settle into shadow. In the stillness, small dinosaurs move again, darting, chirping, hunting insects by moonlight. They may not be rulers yet, but they are persistent, adaptable, stubborn. And that is sometimes enough. The mainstream fact rocks you gently. At first, dinosaurs were minor players, overshadowed by other reptilian giants. Their rise was slow, patient, forged in competition and chance. The quirky detail lingers. Armored etosaurs mistaken for tree trunks, a world where the lines between plant, stone, and animal blur in odd, almost comical ways. And uncertainty is your pillow tonight. Were dinosaurs destined for greatness? Or did the fall of their rivals simply open the door? You close your eyes as the first dinosaurs skitter softly in the dark, their claws tapping like rain. In their small footsteps, you hear the faint prelude of thunder yet to come. The age of diversity begins almost without warning. You blink, and suddenly the little hunters you've been following, the wiry Herrerasaurus, the darting Eoraptor, the lean Quilophysis, are no longer alone. They have branched, split, and stretched themselves into shapes that look less like scrappy survivors and more like a dynasty preparing to take root. The Triassic sun rises on creatures with new forms, new diets, new ambitions. The mainstream fact lays it out clearly. By the middle to late Triassic, dinosaurs had diverged into two great groups: Saurischia, the lizard-hipped dinosaurs that included the long-necked sauropodomorphs and the meat-eating theropods, and Ornithischia, the bird-hipped dinosaurs that would evolve into armored, horned, and duck-billed plant eaters. This split is one of the most important branching events in their history, a fork in the evolutionary road that shaped the next 160 million years. You wander a floodplain and watch one of the first sauropodomorphs move through the morning mist. It is not yet the towering titan of later ages. No Brachiosaurus or Diplodocus. This one is modest, about the size of a large cow, neck longer than any lizard, body sturdy but not massive. It bends low to strip leaves from a conifer, then raises its head high to browse from branches others cannot reach. With each stretch of its neck, you glimpse the blueprint of the giants to come. Nearby, a group of theropods stalks along the riverbank. These meat-eaters are lean, tails stiff for balance, jaws lined with serrated teeth. They move with a bird-like precision, heads jerking side to side, eyes locked on a smaller reptile. In an instant, they spring, claws raking, teeth flashing. The kill is messy, but effective. You realize that this lineage will one day give rise to all the famous hunters: Allosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, and even modern birds. The quirky detail dances in the light. Some early sauropodomorphs, like Plateosaurus, may have walked on two legs much of the time, only dropping to all fours when feeding. Imagine a creature 10 meters long, standing up like a giant kangaroo to reach branches, tail counterbalancing its bulk. Fossil beds in Europe have revealed dozens of Plateosaurus skeletons together, as though herds died en masse in mudslides or droughts. You picture a river valley filled with their corpses, like a prehistoric traffic jam frozen in stone. But uncertainty hums at the edges. Were the first ornithischians, those destined to become the armored stegosaurs and horned triceratops, already distinct in the Triassic, or did they split later? Fossil evidence is fragmentary. Tiny skeletons, often incomplete, leave paleontologists debating whether certain bones belong to early ornithischians or primitive saurischians. The lines blur, the categories waver. You feel the ambiguity settle around you like fog. You climb a ridge and see the world of Pangaea stretched wide. Supercontinent landscapes offer vast deserts, lush river valleys, volcanic highlands. Dinosaurs spread across all of it, experimenting with form. Some lengthen necks, others sharpen claws, others broaden hips for grazing. Evolution sketches wildly, testing blueprints like an artist tossing drafts onto the floor. Not all will endure, but enough will thrive to make dinosaurs a permanent fixture. The mainstream fact presses further. By 225 million years ago, dinosaurs were still not dominant, but had diversified into a range of forms. Their numbers were modest, but their adaptability was extraordinary. When the end Triassic extinction arrived, triggered by massive volcanic eruptions, they were poised to seize the empty niches left behind. You descend into a valley at dusk. Herds of sauropodomorphs cluster near cycads, stripping leaves. Predators circle the edges, keeping their distance, eyes glinting in the fading light. The air smells of resin and damp soil, thick with the hum of insects. You sit quietly, listening to the low grunts of the herbivores, the sharp cries of the hunters, the rustle of ferns in the evening wind. It feels like a rehearsal for what will come in the Jurassic, the stage set, the actors ready, waiting only for the cue of extinction to begin their show. The quirky image returns. Plateosaurus, awkwardly rising to its hind legs, stretching neck high to reach branches, wobbling slightly like a giraffe learning to walk. It makes you smile. Giants often begin clumsy before they become graceful, and uncertainty rocks you gently. Did dinosaurs diversify because of superior lungs, efficient posture, and smart design? Or simply because rivals vanished at the right moment? The fossils hint at answers, but never shout them. You drift in the quiet tension of not knowing, lulled by the rhythm of footsteps in ancient dust. The age of diversity begins softly, not with roaring dominance, but with branching possibility. Dinosaurs are no longer just small hunters. They are many shapes now, scattered across Pangaea, quietly writing the opening chapters of their empire. The first giants rise slowly, as though the earth itself is testing how much weight its soil can bear. You stand at the edge of a Triassic valley, and the air feels heavier. the ground firmer under your feet. Shadows stretch long across the plains, not the fleeting shapes of small predators, but towering figures whose necks sway like moving bridges. They are the earliest sauropods and their kin, cautious yet ambitious, stretching their bodies into something the world has never seen before. The mainstream fact settles here. Sauropodomorphs, a branch of the Saurischian lineage, began modestly in the late Triassic, but soon gave rise to the first truly large dinosaurs. Species like Plateosaurus, Rheogosaurus, and Massospondylus were among the pioneers, some growing to lengths of 8 to 10 meters. Impressive for their age, though still dwarfed by the colossal sauropods of the Jurassic and Cretaceous to come. Their innovation was simple yet powerful. Grow big, eat plants, and let size itself be the armor. You walk beside a group of Plateosaurus as they graze along a riverbank. Their necks sweep low, stripping cycads and ferns, then rise up to nibble at the branches of conifers. Their bodies move deliberately, tails counterbalancing every motion, feet pressing deep prints into mud. You notice how their size alone makes predators hesitate. A small pack of theropods lingers nearby, eyes bright, but they do not attack. Instead, they circle cautiously, waiting for weakness, knowing that one lash of a tail could shatter ribs. The quirky detail makes you smile. Paleontologists have found evidence that some early sauropodomorphs, despite their bulk, may have still been capable of bipedal movement. Imagine a 10-meter-long Plateosaurus rearing up like a kangaroo, balanced on hind legs, neck stretched higher than any other animal around. It sways awkwardly but effectively, plucking leaves far out of reach. The sight is strange, comical even, but it hints at the potential for future giants to dominate entire forests with their height alone. Still, uncertainty whispers. How fast did these herbivores grow, and how long did they live? Some bone studies suggest rapid growth spurts, like modern birds, allowing them to reach massive sizes quickly for protection. Others suggest slower, steadier growth, more like reptiles. The truth remains hidden in the striations of fossilized bone, each line a record of seasons long gone. You lean close to a rib fragment in the dust, wishing you could read it like tree rings. But time keeps its secrets. You step away from the river and climb into a forest. Here, Rheogosaurus moves among conifers, neck weaving between trunks. It is larger than Plateosaurus, its body heavier, its movements slower. You hear the groan of its weight as it pushes through branches, the ground trembling faintly beneath its steps. For the first time, you sense the possibility of ecosystems shaped not just by predators, but by the sheer presence of plant-eating behemoths. Trees are bent, shrubs stripped, trails carved by bodies that act like living bulldozers. The mainstream fact surfaces again. Herbivorous dinosaurs transformed landscapes through their feeding habits, just as elephants and bison shape ecosystems today. By eating vast quantities of plants and moving in herds, they influence the distribution of vegetation and the structure of habitats. Dinosaurs were not only inhabitants of their world, they were engineers of it. The quirky evidence emerges in your mind. A bone bed in South Africa preserved dozens of Massospondylus eggs, some with tiny embryonic skeletons curled inside. These nests suggest parental care, females returning to lay eggs in the same place year after year, perhaps even guarding them. You imagine herds of long-necked dinosaurs clustered around nesting grounds, tails swishing, eyes scanning the horizon, protecting the next generation. The image feels surprisingly tender for such massive creatures, but uncertainty drapes the scene like twilight. Did these early giants travel in herds, or were they more solitary, gathering only at rivers and nesting grounds? Fossils suggest both possibilities. Some sites preserve groups of individuals, while others reveal only scattered remains. You sit quietly with the ambiguity, knowing that deep time leaves more questions than answers. Night falls again, and you watch a herd of sauropodomorphs settling for rest. Their massive bodies lie in open plains, calves nestled close to adults, tails coiled protectively. The theropods you saw earlier linger at a distance, eyes reflecting starlight, but they do not dare approach. For now, size alone is defense enough. The stars glimmer above, the same constellations you know, but brighter in an atmosphere less clouded by modern haze. You breathe deeply, the air tinged with resin and smoke from distant volcanoes, and feel the steady rhythm of giants breathing around you. The mainstream fact rocks you gently. The first sauropods and their kin pioneered gigantism, transforming not only their bodies, but the ecosystems around them. Their size was both survival and legacy. The quirky image soothes you. A Plesiosaurus wobbling upright like a giant kangaroo, reaching for leaves, an awkward experiment on the path to majesty. And uncertainty lulls you to stillness. How exactly did they grow, live, and move together? Were they solitary wanderers or communal giants? The fossils murmur hints, but never the full story. You close your eyes as the herd exhales, a warm, rumbling lullaby that carries you into dreams of forests bending beneath the weight of beginnings. Hunters of the Triassic stir in the shadows, their eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. You've watched the first herbivorous giants stretch their necks skyward, but every grazer calls forth its counterbalance, the predator. And here, in the late Triassic, the hunters are lean, fast, and endlessly inventive, testing every angle of tooth and claw in their pursuit of survival. The mainstream fact sets the stage. Theropods, meat-eating dinosaurs, emerged early in dinosaur history, and though small at first, they quickly diversified into swift, agile hunters. They shared the world with non-dinosaur predators too, from Rauisuchians to phytosaurs, making the late Triassic a patchwork of rival carnivores. Dinosaurs were not yet dominant, but they were sharpening their tools for the future. You crouch in the tall ferns and watch a Chilophysis pack move across a floodplain. Each animal is slim as a greyhound, neck stretched, tail stiff, eyes sharp. They hunt together in loose coordination, spreading to flush out prey. A smaller reptile bursts from the underbrush, and in a blur, the pack converges. Jaws snap, claws rake, and the kill is swift. Dust rises in the dim light, and then silence. You realize these hunters are perfecting efficiency, small bodies acting with collective intent. The quirky detail surfaces. In one famous fossil bed in New Mexico, hundreds of Chilophysis skeletons were found together. Some paleontologists think they lived and moved in large groups, while others argue it might be a mass death event, perhaps from drought or flood. Stranger still, some skeletons appeared to have juvenile bones in their bellies, evidence of possible cannibalism. Were they nurturing packs or desperate scavengers? The fossils leave the question open, teasing your imagination with two very different stories. You move on, the ground crunching beneath your steps. Near a riverbank, larger hunters patrol. Herrerasaurus, taller than Chilophysis, walks alone. Its jaws gleam with serrated teeth, capable of tearing flesh in powerful bites. Unlike the small pack hunters, this predator relies on strength and speed in bursts, lunging at prey with calculated precision. You hear its guttural hiss in the night, low and commanding, and you know why rivals keep their distance. The mainstream fact rises again. Herrerasaurus, one of the earliest known theropods, lived over 230 million years ago, and shows that dinosaurs were already experimenting with apex predator roles while still sharing the world with other great hunters. But uncertainty wraps around the edges. Where do Herrerasaurus and its kin truly belong on the dinosaur family tree? Some studies place them as primitive theropods, others as a lineage branching just outside true dinosaurs. The debate remains unresolved. Fossils too few to close the case. You feel that uncertainty settle like fog over the valley, a reminder that the past is always just out of reach. In the distance, you glimpse another predator, longer, heavier, with teeth like knives. It is not a dinosaur, but a Rauisuchian, one of the crocodile-line archosaurs. It towers over the small theropods, its body armored, its steps thunderous. For now, it is the king of this world, ruling by size and strength. Yet you sense fragility. The ground shakes faintly with distant volcanic murmurs. You know the Triassic is ending, and with it, these mighty rivals will vanish, leaving room for theropods to ascend. The quirky image lingers. Some Rauisuchians may have walked bipedally at times, standing tall like dinosaur imposters. You imagine one rearing up against a backdrop of lightning, a mirror of the theropods. It will soon seed the earth too. Night deepens, and the chorus of hunters fills the air. Chirps, screeches, guttural bellows. You lie back in the grass, eyes tracing constellations dinosaurs once saw. Around you, the hunters move in silence and bursts, life and death entwined in every motion. The mainstream fact soothes you. The Triassic hunters laid the foundation for the predators of the Jurassic and beyond, refining agility, speed, and cooperation. The quirky image follows. Chelephysis skeletons packed together in stone, whispering of cannibalism or kinship, and uncertainty hums like a lullaby. Were these hunters destined to rule, or were they simply survivors of luck and timing? You close your eyes as claws tap softly on stone nearby, and the breath of Triassic hunters carries you into dreams. Jurassic dawn breaks slowly, as though the world itself is shaking off the last shadows of the Triassic night. You blink, and the landscape before you has shifted. The great Rauisuchians and phytosaurs are gone, erased by the extinction that closed the Triassic curtain. In their absence, dinosaurs have stepped fully onto the stage. The sun rises over forests of conifers and cycads, rivers sparkling, and plains stretching wide. And for the first time, you feel it unmistakably. This is their world now. The mainstream fact hums softly. After the end Triassic extinction, which wiped out many rival reptile groups, dinosaurs rose to dominance. By the early Jurassic, they spread across every continent of Pangaea, diversifying into predators, herbivores, and early giants. What had been small and scattered in the Triassic now unfurls into abundance. You walk along a wide river valley. Herds of sauropodomorphs graze on conifers, their long necks sweeping low for cycads, then high to pluck at branches. They are larger now than their Triassic cousins, creatures like Ankylosaurus and early Volcanodon, bodies heavier, legs thicker, steps slower but more deliberate. Their sheer size reshapes the landscape. Trails carve through forests where they pass. Trees stripped of leaves at heights others cannot reach. A low rumble draws your attention. Across the plain, a theropod moves with confidence. Dilophosaurus, its twin crests catching the morning light, strides through brush. It is no longer a small pack hunter like Chelephysis, but a predator of stature, its body long, jaws filled with sharp teeth. It pauses, scanning the horizon, then lets out a cry, a sharp, resonant sound that echoes off the valley walls. Other creatures scatter. You feel your chest vibrate with the call, and though you know you are safe, you shiver. The quirky detail brightens your imagination. Paleontologists debate whether Dilophosaurus's double crests were for display, intimidation, or perhaps even thermoregulation. You picture a pair of males facing each other in the dawn, heads lifted high, crests glowing in early light, locked in a silent contest of beauty and pride before a herd of potential mates. Evolution does not move only by tooth and claw. It struts, it flaunts, it shows off, but uncertainty hovers. How exactly did dinosaurs expand so rapidly after the extinction? Was it simply the empty niches left by vanished rivals? Was it their efficient breathing, their upright stance, their flexible diets? Or was it a combination too complex to unravel? Scholars argue, bones whisper partial truths, and you drift in that uncertainty like smoke rising into sky. You move west, where Pangaea begins to crack. The ground trembles, volcanoes simmer, and seas creep slowly into rifts. Supercontinent landscapes fragment, opening new habitats, new coastlines, new climates. Dinosaurs follow these pathways, spreading farther, experimenting more boldly. You see smaller theropods darting through underbrush, sauropods marching in herds, early ornithischians nibbling at low shrubs. Diversity explodes like sparks from a fire. The mainstream fact presses in again. By the Middle Jurassic, dinosaurs had become global, inhabiting every continent and filling nearly every ecological role. From towering browsers to swift predators to armored grazers, quirky whispers rise. Some fossilized trackways suggest herds of dozens, even hundreds of dinosaurs moving together. Their footsteps pressed side by side into ancient mud. Imagine the sound of it. A rolling thunder not from the sky, but from the earth itself. Hundreds of feet striking in rhythm as herds migrate across valleys. You close your eyes and hear it now. The ground trembling, the air filled with the low calls of communication. An orchestra of movement. Night falls on Jurassic dawn, and you sit atop a ridge watching silhouettes move against moonlight. Sauropods sway like ships at anchor, long necks silhouetted against stars. Theropods prowl edges, sharp cries echoing. Ornithischians huddle in groups, tails twitching, wary eyes scanning the dark. The world feels alive in every corner, filled with rhythms of grazing, hunting, resting, waking. The mainstream fact rocks you gently. With the rivals of the Triassic gone, the Jurassic belongs fully to dinosaurs. Their dominance is now absolute, their diversity unmatched. The quirky image soothes you. Two Dilophosaurs, crests glowing in dawn light, frozen in a contest of beauty more than battle. And uncertainty lulls you. Was this dominance inevitable, or just a lucky inheritance from catastrophe? The fossils whisper. The stars remain silent. You close your eyes as the herd's footsteps echo softly in the night. A lullaby of thunder that carries you into dreams of Jurassic morning, feathers in the shadows. At first, you almost miss them. The great sauropods dominate the horizon now, necks arching high into Jurassic forests, while predators like Allosaurus prowl the plains. But in the underbrush, perched on branches, darting through ferns, or flitting between trees, smaller creatures reveal a secret that will one day change everything. You lean closer and notice it. Not scales alone, but tufts, filaments, feathers. The world of dinosaurs is beginning to shimmer with color. The mainstream fact settles gently. Many theropod dinosaurs, particularly within a group called Coelurosaurs, developed feathers. These were not always for flight. Early feathers may have served for insulation, display, or camouflage. Fossils from China's Liaoning province, like Sinosauropteryx, preserve delicate feather impressions, proving that dinosaurs were not all scaly reptiles, but creatures with plumage, some striped, some patterned. You crouch as a Sinosauropteryx scurries past. It is fox-sized, its tail long and banded with alternating dark and light stripes. Its body is covered in fuzz-like filaments, not the sleek feathers of a modern bird, but enough to keep it warm. It darts after an insect, snaps it up, and vanishes into the brush. You smile, realizing you are watching a dawn chorus long before birds ever sang. The quirky detail makes you grin wider. Studies of fossil melanosomes, pigment structures preserved in feathers, suggest that some dinosaurs were vividly colored. Sinosauropteryx, for example, likely had a rusty red back with a lighter belly and a striped tail. Imagine walking through Jurassic forests, not of dull green and gray, but alive with flashes of orange, red, and even iridescent blues. Dinosaurs may have looked less like lizards and more like peacocks and hummingbirds, but uncertainty whispers at the edges. Did feathers evolve once, early in dinosaur history, or multiple times in different lineages? Were they a shared inheritance from a common ancestor, or a repeated solution to similar challenges? Paleontologists debate, fossils hint, but certainty drifts just out of reach. You walk in that ambiguity, feather shadows flickering like ghosts across your vision. You climb a low ridge and watch as a small predator clambers up after you. Its claws are curved, its gaze sharp. It shakes its body, and a spray of feathers rustles along its arms and back. This is not flight yet, but you can imagine it practicing, stretching arms wide, catching the air, leaping farther from branch to branch. The blueprint of wings lies hidden in these motions, waiting for time to refine it. The mainstream fact rises again. Feathers first evolved for purposes other than flight. Insulation kept small-bodied dinosaurs warm. Display allowed them to attract mates or intimidate rivals. Some may have used feathered arms to stabilize when running, sitting in balance long before true flight. The quirky whispers come again. One fossil from China preserves a dinosaur with long, ribbon-like display feathers on its tail. Useless for warmth or flight, but perfect for showing off. You imagine it strutting like a prehistoric bird of paradise. Tail plumes shimmering in sunlight, rivals and mates transfixed. Vanity, once more, proves timeless. Still, uncertainty persists. How widespread were feathers across dinosaurs? Did even giants like tyrannosaurs start fuzzy before shedding feathers as they grew? Some juvenile fossils hint at fuzz, but adults appear scaly. Were they both shifting coats with age? No one knows for sure. You let the question settle. Gentle as down drifting through the night. Evening falls, and the forest grows cooler. Feathered dinosaurs huddle together in nests, sharing warmth, chirping softly to one another. Their calls are not roars, but high-pitched squeaks and croaks, eerie yet familiar, like echoes of the birds you know. You lie nearby, listening to the chorus, the forest filled with whispers and rustles rather than thunder. The mainstream fact tucks you in. Feathers, long before flight, gave dinosaurs new tools: warmth, beauty, display. They rewrote what it meant to be reptilian. The quirky image follows. A striped Sinosauropteryx with a tail like a candy cane. Darting through leaves, its colors bright against the green, and uncertainty rocks you gently. Did all dinosaurs carry feathers in some form, or only select lineages? The fossils give glimpses, never the whole picture. You close your eyes as feathers brush softly through the air above you. A lullaby of rustle and color, carrying you toward dreams of wings not yet spread. The dance of ecosystems begins to unfold as you drift deeper into the Jurassic world. By now, dinosaurs are no longer scrappy upstarts. They are the rhythm and balance of life itself. They graze, they hunt, they nest, they wander in herds. And all around them, the planet reorganizes to their steps. You walk through a valley at dawn and feel as though the earth is choreographing an endless performance. Every creature playing its part in the great, intricate dance. the mainstream fact settles around you. During the Jurassic, dinosaurs occupied nearly every ecological role. Long-necked sauropods became the dominant herbivores, stripping forests and reshaping landscapes. Theropods of all sizes filled predator niches, from pack hunters to solitary stalkers. Ornithischians began to diversify, nibbling on low shrubs and spreading into herds. This wasn't just a world with dinosaurs. It was a world built around them. You step softly along a muddy riverbank. Herds of Camarasaurus wade into the water, their long necks bending to drink. Small theropods skitter nearby, snatching fish from shallows. Overhead, pterosaurs swoop and dive, wings catching the air in graceful arcs. Between roots, mammals no larger than mice dart quickly, scavenging scraps of insects and seeds. Every niche is filled, every layer of life intertwined. The quirky detail sparks a smile. In some fossil sites, coprolites, fossilized dung, reveal the diets of these giants. Sauropod droppings sometimes contain fragments of plants that look surprisingly coarse and unchewed. These giants likely swallowed leaves whole, grinding them later in massive guts filled with fermenting microbes. Imagine walking across a Jurassic plain dotted with piles the size of wheelbarrows, ecosystems unto themselves where beetles, fungi, and plants thrived. Even waste was part of the dance. Still, uncertainty hums at the edges of the music. Did sauropods migrate in vast herds, crossing entire continents as elephants and wildebeest do today? Fossil trackways show groups moving together, but whether they journeyed long distances or simply followed rivers nearby is still debated. You watch a line of silhouettes moving into the horizon and wonder, is this a seasonal migration or just a daily wandering? Time has erased the answer. You follow the trail and enter an open plain. There, stegosaurs graze, their spiked tails swishing lazily, their backs lined with great plates. A predator prowls at the edge, a megalosaur, larger than any Triassic hunter. It circles but does not attack. The stegosaur herd tightens, plates glowing in sunlight, tails bristling with thagomizers ready to swing. The predator growls, then withdraws. Balance holds. The mainstream fact rises. Ecosystems thrive not through dominance of one creature, but through the checks and balances of many. Herbivores reshape vegetation. Predators control populations. Scavengers recycle waste. Dinosaurs and their neighbors created entire systems, intricate webs as delicate as any rainforest today. The quirky whispers again. Fossilized nests of sauropods in Argentina reveal hundreds of eggs, laid in shallow pits. Some scientists believe these herds nested communally, returning year after year to the same sites, just as sea turtles do today. Imagine plains covered with eggshells, hatchlings squeaking, adults guarding loosely at the edges. A nursery the size of a landscape, but uncertainty returns, soft and persistent. How much care did parents give their young? Some fossils suggest hatchlings grew quickly and may have been left to fend for themselves, while others hint at protection and teaching. Were these giants attentive mothers or distant ones? The bones do not say, leaving the truth hazy as morning mist. Evening comes, and the ecosystem's rhythm shifts. Diurnal grazers lie down, great bodies thudding into earth. Night hunters emerge, small theropods with eyes that gleam in low light. Mammals stir, scavenging seeds under cover of darkness. Frogs croak from riverbanks, insects hum in grass, and the air fills with new voices. The dance does not pause, it simply changes tempo. The mainstream fact soothes you. The Jurassic ecosystems were as rich and varied as any on Earth, woven together by dinosaurs, but never by them alone. Every life, from beetle to giant, had its part in the balance. The quirky image comforts you. A sauropod nursery stretching across a plain, hatchlings scurrying between massive legs, squeaks rising like a chorus of flutes beneath the thunder of adult footsteps, and uncertainty rocks you gently. Were these rhythms seasonal, daily, or something beyond your imagining? You cannot know, but you can feel it. The constant motion of life, the endless choreography of survival. You close your eyes as the night symphony swells, a lullaby written in calls and footsteps, guiding you into dreams where the dance never ends. The skyward path begins in shadows and whispers of wind. You've walked among the giants of the Jurassic, seen the long-necked herds grazing on treetops, the spiked stegosaurs clattering tails in defense, the sharp-toothed hunters circling the edges. But now you turn your gaze upward, and the story shifts. Above the plains, above the forests, above the rivers, creatures are testing the air, stretching membranes and feathers into the future. The mainstream fact settles here. Dinosaurs were not the first to try the sky. Before them, pterosaurs had already claimed the air in the Triassic, soaring on leathery wings stretched between elongated fingers. They were cousins to dinosaurs, not dinosaurs themselves, but they filled the skies while dinosaurs filled the ground. Yet in the shadows of forests, some small feathered theropods were beginning their own experiments with gliding, leaping, and perhaps even flying. These quiet steps would one day birth the true birds. You crouch beneath a ginkgo tree and watch a small creature climb. Its claws grip bark, its tail stiff for balance, its body covered in downy feathers. It pauses, looks out across the clearing, and leaps. For a heartbeat, it falls. Then its feathered arms catch the air, slowing its descent. It lands clumsily, scrambles upright, and chirps. This is no pterosaur. It is something closer to Archaeopteryx, the famous first bird. Its wings are primitive, its flight clunky. But in this awkward leap, you glimpse the future of sparrows, eagles, hummingbirds. The quirky detail flickers. Archaeopteryx fossils, found in the limestone of Germany, preserve not just bones, but impressions of feathers. Each barb, each vein, etched in stone like ghostly wings. And some specimens even show asymmetrical feathers, the kind adapted for powered flight. You imagine quarry workers in the 19th century, splitting slabs of rock and suddenly staring into the stone face of a creature caught mid-metamorphosis. Teeth in its beak, claws on its wings, feathers splayed wide. Half dinosaur, half bird, frozen forever between worlds. But uncertainty drapes the scene like twilight. Was Archaeopteryx truly the first bird, or just one of many feathered experiments? Some scientists argue it was a side branch, not a direct ancestor of modern birds. Others place it firmly at the root of the avian tree. The fossil record is patchy, the story incomplete. You lean into that ambiguity, soothed by the thought that even beginnings are rarely clear. You wander toward a rocky outcrop where pterosaurs roost. They are larger than the feathered lepers, wingspans stretching meters across, beaks long and sharp. They squabble, flap, and launch into the air with practiced ease. Their wings beat strongly, then shift into effortless gliding as thermals lift them higher. For tens of millions of years, pterosaurs will rule the skies unchallenged, until the avian dinosaurs perfect their own flight. The mainstream fact sharpens. The earliest true birds appear in the late Jurassic, around 150 million years ago, with Archaeopteryx as the most famous example. But feathered theropods show that flight was not a sudden leap, but a gradual dance of adaptations. Feathers for warmth, then display, then gliding, then flight. The quirky whispers again. One Chinese fossil reveals a dinosaur with 4 feathered limbs, feathers not just on arms, but also on legs. Imagine a creature gliding like a biplane, four wings catching air as it leaps between trees. It looks bizarre, almost cartoonish, but it shows how many strange experiments evolution attempted on the path to true flight. Still, uncertainty persists. How did flight begin? Was it the trees down hypothesis, with leaping gliders turning jumps into wings? Or the ground up idea, with runners flapping arms to gain lift? Scholars argue, evidence contradicts, and no single answer satisfies. You smile at the indecision. Flight is mystery embodied, and perhaps it was both, or neither, or something in between. Night falls, and the air cools. Feathered dinosaurs huddle together in branches, their down keeping them warm. Pterosaurs circle high, silhouettes crossing the moon. The forest hums with the whispers of wings, of creatures testing gravity, testing possibility. You lie back on soft moss and let the air itself cradle you, hearing the rustle of feathers and the leathery beat of pterosaur wings as a lullaby. The mainstream fact tucks you in. Dinosaurs did not stay earthbound. Some of them, experimenting in shadows, found paths into the air, rewriting what it meant to live. The quirky image comforts you. A four-winged dinosaur gliding clumsily between trees, a prehistoric experiment that looks absurd, yet carried life closer to the sky. And uncertainty rocks you gently. No one knows exactly how wings became flight, or which branch truly counts as the first bird. You close your eyes, drifting on air currents, as the skyward path carries you softly upward into dreams. When dinosaurs ruled, the earth itself seemed to breathe with their footsteps. By the middle and late Jurassic, and through the Cretaceous, they were not just one group among many. They were the foundation, the scaffolding, the very rhythm of life on land. Everywhere you turn now, across continents that have begun to drift apart, the world thrums with their presence. You feel it in the trembling soil, the echoing calls, the rustle of forests stripped bare by long-necked herds. This is the true age of dinosaurs, and you are standing inside it. The mainstream fact settles in. From about 165 million to 66 million years ago, dinosaurs were the dominant terrestrial vertebrates. Sauropods stretched into titans weighing over 70 tons. Theropods grew into apex predators like Allosaurus and later Tyrannosaurus. Ornithischians diversified into armored stegosaurs, ankylosaurs, horned ceratopsians, and duck-billed hadrosaurs. No ecosystem was untouched. Dinosaurs filled every niche on land. You wander a wide savanna, the air hot and thick with buzzing insects. Ahead, a herd of diplodocus snakes across the horizon, necks swaying in unison, tails cracking like distant whips. Each step leaves a crater in the soil, and the ground hums beneath your feet as though a drumbeat carries their rhythm. Between their legs, juveniles trot awkwardly, squeaking, protected in the middle of the herd. You imagine predators lurking at the edges, but size alone is defense enough for the adults. Closer to the river, stegosaurs graze, plates glowing faintly in the sun. They swing spiked tails lazily, keeping distance between one another as though aware of their own danger. A lone predator prowls nearby, Allosaurus, its skull ridged, its body lean. It tests the herd's defenses, stepping closer, then pulling back as tails lift and bodies close ranks. For now, balance holds. The quirky detail flickers into view. In Colorado's fossil beds, paleontologists found dozens of sauropod footprints, some so deep they preserved claw marks and skin impressions. These trackways reveal more than bones ever could. Herds moving in lines, juveniles kept close to the center, tails lifted to avoid dragging. It is like finding choreography pressed into stone, a dance frozen for millions of years. But uncertainty hovers. Did sauropods truly live in massive herds? Or were they more solitary, gathering only near water? Trackways suggest both, but bones often scatter alone. Were these giants constant travelers, or seasonal migrants chasing greenery across continents? The fossils whisper different answers, and you find yourself caught between them, swaying with the rhythm of possibilities. You climb a volcanic ridge and look out over a landscape in flux. By now, Pangaea has fractured. The Atlantic Ocean opens, seas flood inland, climates shift. Dinosaurs adapt effortlessly. In the north, ceratopsians develop great horns and frills. In the south, titanosaurs grow vast, their necks longer, their bodies heavier. In every corner, new shapes arise. The mainstream fact hums again. By the Cretaceous, dinosaurs had reached peak diversity. Horned Triceratops, duck-billed Parasaurolophus, club-tailed Ankylosaurus, towering Argentinosaurus, all thrived in ecosystems as complex as any modern savanna. Quirky whispers follow. Fossilized skin impressions reveal textures of scales in intricate patterns. Hexagons, mosaics, ridges. Some were smooth, others pebbled. Some even studded with bony armor. Imagine a hadrosaur with skin as finely detailed as a handbag, or a ceratopsian frill glowing with color like a butterfly's wing. Dinosaurs were not just big. They were beautiful in ways you cannot fully picture. Still, uncertainty cradles you. What colors did they wear? Some fossils hint at reds, blacks, and iridescent sheens, but most remain blank in stone. Did Triceratops' frills blaze with patterns like parrots? Did sauropods shimmer dull green or stand boldly striped? The answers dissolve into silence, leaving you to imagine rainbows across scales. Evening falls, and you sit in a shallow valley. Hadrosaurs honk softly, their crests resonating like horns in the dusk. Ceratopsians shuffle closer together, young nestled between horns. Ankylosaurs settle low, tails resting but ready. Overhead, pterosaurs glide toward cliffs, wings silhouetted against a glowing sky. The air itself vibrates with life, layered like instruments in an orchestra. Low rumbles, sharp cries, soft honks, beating wings. The mainstream fact soothes you. For over 100 million years, dinosaurs were not simply survivors of catastrophe, but the undisputed rulers of Earth, shaping ecosystems with their bodies and their choices. The quirky image comforts you. A line of diplodocus moving across mud, tails raised just enough that their prints remain perfect, each step a page in history's diary, and uncertainty rocks you gently. Why did this balance hold so long, through shifting continents and climates? Was it resilience, adaptability, or simply the absence of another disaster? You close your eyes, letting the symphony of calls and footsteps lull you into sleep. When dinosaurs ruled, the world was not silent. It was a chorus, and you are drifting now on its eternal song. The shadow of an ending hangs over you, even as the Cretaceous world bursts with color and sound. Dinosaurs are everywhere now. Horned herds crowding plains, duck-billed hadrosaurs trumpeting at riversides, armored ankylosaurs lumbering like living tanks, and sauropods stretching necks into canopies of magnolia and fig. Predators stalk the margins, from raptor packs with sickle claws flashing in moonlight to the thunderous approach of Tyrannosaurus, the last great king. It seems eternal, this empire of scales and feathers. But you know what comes. Extinction whispers at the edges of the sky. The mainstream fact steadies you. About 66 million years ago, at the boundary between the Cretaceous and Paleogene, a catastrophic event ended the reign of non-avian dinosaurs. The most widely accepted explanation is the impact of a massive asteroid near modern-day Chicxulub in Mexico, combined with volcanic eruptions in the Deccan Traps and shifts in climate. It brought about one of the greatest extinctions in Earth's history. Dinosaurs, once rulers, fell silent, save for the lineage that would become birds. You walk a Cretaceous shoreline. The sea smells of salt and rot, waves breaking against chalk cliffs filled with fossils of ancient marine reptiles. In the distance, hadrosaurs wade in shallows, calling to one another, while a lone T-Rex prowls inland. The air is heavy, humid, buzzing with cicada-like insects. Nothing feels fragile, and yet everything is. The quirky detail drifts in. Some paleontologists believe the asteroid struck Earth in springtime, right as many dinosaurs were nesting. Imagine plains filled with eggs, hatchlings squeaking, parents guarding loosely. And then, in an instant, fire from the sky. It adds a tender cruelty, extinction cutting across generations mid-breath, but uncertainty clouds the scene. Was it truly the asteroid alone? Or did the eruptions of the Deccan Traps already weaken ecosystems, belching lava and gases for thousands of years? Did climate shifts push species to the brink, leaving the asteroid as a final blow? Or could life have endured one disaster but not both together? The answers remain hazy, like smoke across the horizon. You lift your gaze to the Cretaceous sky. For now, it is filled with pterosaurs soaring and feathered raptors leaping from tree to tree. Yet you know the clock ticks down. In your mind, you hear the thunder of an impact. The flash brighter than suns, the global winds carrying dust to blot out light. Forests wither, seas grow acid, giants fall. The age of dinosaurs collapses in silence and ash. The mainstream fact presses again. Though non-avian dinosaurs perished, birds survived. Tiny feathered creatures, cousins of raptors, clung to branches, scavenged seeds, endured darkness. In them, the story of dinosaurs did not end, but changed shape, their songs carrying forward where roars fell quiet. The quirky image softens you. In the aftermath, among ferns sprouting in ash, a small bird-like dinosaur scratches for seeds, oblivious to its legacy. It is fragile, unremarkable, and yet the bridge between two worlds. Still, uncertainty holds you. Why these survivors? Was it size, diet, nesting, pure chance? Perhaps the answer lies forever hidden in the silence after catastrophe. Night settles on your final walk with dinosaurs. Across the plain, herds settle into uneasy rest. The air is thick, the stars distant. You lie among them, feeling the tremor of their breath one last time, knowing morning may never come for them. The lullaby of a vanished world surrounds you. The honk of hadrosaurs fading, the growl of T-Rex swallowed by dark, the rustle of feathers that will carry forward into sparrows, crows, swans. The mainstream fact tucks you in. Dinosaurs ruled for over 160 million years, their reign longer than the age of mammals has yet lasted. The quirky image comforts you. A Cretaceous mother guarding her nest, unaware that fire will fall before her young can hatch, and uncertainty rocks you softly. Was extinction fate, or accident, or both? You close your eyes, and the world of dinosaurs dims, leaving only echoes of footsteps, feathers, and whispers of wings. Wind down, 300 words. Now the story grows quiet, like embers fading after a great fire. You've walked with the first upright reptiles on Triassic plains, followed the rise of giants across Jurassic valleys, traced feathers in the shadows of Cretaceous forests. You felt the earth tremble with sauropod herds, heard the cries of predators, watched ecosystems bloom and collapse. And now, you rest at the threshold of silence, where dinosaurs vanish into memory. The air is softer here. The thunder of footsteps recedes into distant echoes. The bright plates of stegosaurs, the horns of triceratops, the crests of Parasaurolophus, all blur like paintings fading in candlelight. Even Tyrannosaurus, the last great king, lowers its head into shadow. Time folds over them gently, not cruelly. The way sand buries footprints on a shore. You breathe slowly. The world cools. The forest's empty. Yet listen closely. Not all is gone. In the branches above, a bird stirs, feathers ruffling. Its song is faint, uncertain, but it carries. The lineage continues. Dinosaurs do not vanish entirely. They transform, shift, adapt, and sing. Every robin in your yard, every gull above a harbor, every hawk circling high is a whisper of that lost world. You live still in the age of dinosaurs, if you know how to listen. Let the thoughts soothe you. What seems to end may only change form. What seems like silence may still carry song. You close your eyes, and the weight of history drifts away, leaving you light as feathers. The thunder fades, the echoes soften. You rest now in stillness, carried into sleep by the quiet persistence of life's long story.